Oh,
Oh,
I thought I failed to unmute myself and I must have remuted myself. No, it's one of my Lewis Carroll pastiches. It's called The Editor and the Publisher. The editor and the publisher were surfing on the net. They wept like anything to see such quantities of text. They said, if this were sold by us, the movies would be next. If 7 readers with 7 pens cut every 7th word, do you suppose, dear editor, it would read less absurd? I doubt it, said the editor. I'd cut it by 1/3. Oh, poets, send your work to us, the publisher beseeched, with prizes and a status that very few can reach. It will not cost you very much, 3 for a fiver each. The eldest poet read the blurb and quickly hit delete. They must be kidding us, he said. I don't want to compete for peanuts. More kudos can it be had where poets meet. But 4 young poets hurried up and signed on to the site. They paid the dues and emailed lines they'd written overnight. And this was odd because, you know, they should be paid to write. But 400 poets followed them, hoping to win prizes. The publisher said joyfully, see how our kudos rises. We only pay a fraction out to winners, no surprises. The time has come, the publisher blogged from sunny Spain, to talk of odes and sonnets and forget the woe and pain of doggerel and lines of verse by poets scarcely sane. But what of us? The reject said, turning rather pale. You had our cash for no return. They made a dismal wail. The publisher said, sorry, but we must think of our sales. Oh, poets, said the editor, it's good to hear from you, to read some of your entries and bank your money too. The next contest is open, but answers came there few. Oh, poets, said the publisher, but the poets were online, writing for each other, and the latest good e-zine. That wasn't odd, because, you know, you can't fool poets all the time. End. Now that's shooting myself in the foot, because we regularly run competitions.
It's purely imaginary, isn't it?
Oh, it's completely, yes, an imaginary scenario.
Yes, this is called It Was That Kind of Monday. I entered the house through the back wall, easier than messing around with locks and keys, careful not to get stuck halfway through. The cat sat on the mat with a scrap of sunlight trapped beneath her paw. Help! Yelped the sunlight, fading away with fright. And so, with a snap of my fingers, the cat sat in mid-air, still asleep, allowing me to dust underneath. And time for the sunlight to make good its escape. Another snap of the fingers, and the dog was walking in mid-air, so much easier than taking him for a walk in the park. Another snap, and the kettle boiled itself, made the tea, even if only a bit strongly. The dishes were busy washing themselves, stacking themselves away. The self-cleaning clothes were asleep in the wardrobe, waiting for the next roll, and wondering who they would have to be in the days to come. It was now I wished I had paid more attention in Magic 101, in Magic 103, as I'd run out of finger clicks and emergency spells. This time I left by the back door, as I couldn't face another wall to save my life. I left, leaving the cat and the dog up in the air, as I hadn't enough magic to put them in their place. Being a trainee wizard isn't all it's cracked up to be. Do not attempt this at home, children.
Hey, where's his shirt?
God damn it!
He's wearing his performance shirt.
It's like, doesn't it?
It's actually a silk. Well, it's not real silk, is it? No.
I bought that. I passed the window in centre of London, and this was in the window, and I thought, God, that's gorgeous. And I thought, I've never bought anything for myself, so I thought I will buy this for myself. And I went in, and the man sold it, and he said, The last guy who bought this only a week ago was Mick Jagger.
Oh!
This
That's
is my
how old it is.
1968.
You haven't got an instance then?
I think you've lost some, haven't you? I'm going to read two drafts,
Oh, you've done it.
neither of which are finished, I don't think. But they're connected. I wrote faux pas with myself in mind because I am a dreadful putter in of my foot in conversation. I'm very good at saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. So the first one is called faux pas. Just when you thought it was safe to admit that you never had been there nor cared much for it, just when you decided to really come clean and tell them how totally bored you had been, just when you thought they had stopped up their ears and no one was watching and no one would hear, just then came the lull in the talk, and you said the words that made everyone wish you were dead. Now, I've read that before in places, and people have said, you've got to go on with that and tell us what those words were. But I can't make any up. They've got to just happen. So, sorry?
Mr. James Cleverly of late.
Oh.
Oh no, I didn't say that. I said nothing.
The whole Boris Johnson cabinet, actually, isn't it? And then, sort of as a riff off that, I wrote Just As. And this was when, I must have written this at least 3 years ago, when Zoom was new and everybody was very sort of self-conscious. So, just as I'd hidden the muddle and jetsam, the flotsam and messiness, managed to get some intelligent books for the bookshelf behind me, just as I'd arranged them so viewers would find me a calm intellectual, so clever, so rational, my poetry brilliant and wise inspirational, just as I'd put on an elegant shirt, not gaudy, not dowdy, so smart that it hurt, just as the participants thronged on the screen, just as I unmuted, just then the scream, we all heard the shot in the next room, and that was the end of my reading on Zoom. I didn't know how to finish that one either. So the last 3 lines are straight off the top of my head.
And the moral of that is don't shoot your husband.
That one was driven by rhyme. That was one of the reasons I couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to get a husband to sit beside me here.
Yes.
No, you're still surviving.
Just about. She's all these poems about how to knock off husbands. So I'd be very glad to be still alive. And despite that, this is called Invisible Blue Plaques. Someone or other lived and died here. Some other someone wrote their most famous work there. Every so often a blue plaque informs us as we journey through town, rain falling down, of blah blah, who blad and blad here, or was blad there, who cares? In my mind I erect invisible blue plaques to commemorate us. Here we kissed, did we not? A mere minute ago, here we turned and laughed on the corner of this everyday street. Here we laughed and hugged on a pedestrian crossing, whistling at our moor, a taxi honking at our kisses. All over London our invisible blue plaques commemorate us, and that we once passed this way, so deeply in love.
No, if we were reading in a venue, that would end up Kiss Jan. So
Yes.
I'm quite glad we're at home.
Yes.
No,